Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing today? I love you guys very much, and today I just want to talk about the death and rebirth that I am going through and the awareness that I've kind of encountered towards this. So, you guys know, and I always say this, if you've been following me, you knew that I was going through what I was calling a death and a rebirth when I first started this YouTube channel, and it was beautiful. However, that was the death part of it, and this is the rebirth. I am in the rebirth, okay? So let me break it down. Let me explain it to you because I had this realization yesterday, and from June of 2024 till now, okay, I was in a very deep low. Not a low in a sense that was negative, just coming out of a high of, the universe cracking my soul open, of being connected to oneness, of being connected to love. I was in a dip. And the dips are always important because that's where true growth happens. So, the deaths, and I want to explain to you guys what I've learned. Okay, so the deaths on the spiritual journey are more euphoric, are more high, are more easier in a sense. And usually deaths happen when a catalyst, like there has to be a catalyst involved, right? So the death happened when I left my ex relationship, and that was something that, I put myself first. I was trying to leave that relationship. It was trauma bond, codependency. We were on and off from when I was 18 up until 25, and the last year and a half, 2 years, I wanted to leave. I just couldn't because I knew, it was time to move on. And, my soul just was screaming louder and louder and louder to leave. And that's when I left. And then that's when I got first time ever living in my own apartment. I was alone, and, the universe cracked my soul open. Okay, that's when the death happened. The death happened when I decided to leave something difficult, and the universe cracked my soul open. I quite fucking literally touched heaven. I quite literally touched heaven. I was incredibly connected to source, to myself, to love, to oneness. I was embodying love on an everyday basis. Like I can't even describe to you guys the energy, the immense, intense, high euphoric energy that I was feeling. However, that is not sustainable. Remember, we have to ground ourselves, right? So put it this way, spirit, the universe, God gave me a little preview of my life, of the next chapter, of what I'm capable of, like a movie. They give you a preview, and this fucking preview was, oh my god, was the best preview I've ever had in my life. And that lasted a year, right? That death. I left something, there was a death of the old me, it was a death of me no longer putting up with less than, no longer putting myself second, no longer putting myself last. It was a death of that version. It's not healthy to be in a constant high 24/7, because then that's when you can, we're still human. We're very much human, and it's all about integrating and practicing balance between the human world and the physical world. You can use both in this human journey, in this life that we have here. So after that year was over, you need to integrate everything. That is where your rebirth happens, is this integration. Now, the deaths and the rebirths are beautiful. The deaths, I mean, are beautiful. However, the rebirths will kick you in the ass. I had this realization that the rebirths are the hard part. Are the hard part. They come in phases. The death is that transition. The rebirth is you integrating it and practicing and doing it in a grounded way. It's like, and I've said this in my TikTok, it's like you were on the highest peak of the mountain. The highest peak of the mountain. And it felt so good. It felt so euphoric. It felt love. You felt love. You felt oneness. You felt the wind. You felt the ease of the world. You felt that anything is fucking possible. However, God said, you know what? You need to go back down to ground level though and build a life down here of what you've experienced up there. And yeah, that is the rebirth, the integration. And there's no, like handbook on how to do this. There's no this is what you're supposed to do. It just feels like you got dropped in a low. And a year ago, uh, from now, right? Oh my God, it's crazy. It's been 2 years since I've moved out and had my own apartment, huh? That's crazy. But a year ago, when that started happening, I slept for like 2 months. I was tired. I felt drained after another catalyst. It was a good catalyst, a good thing that happened. I felt drained. I felt like I knew it was the next part of my journey. I had that like inner voice of saying, this is the next part, this is the next part, right? You need to go out now and integrate it. But it's crazy because you don't have straightforward instructions on how to do this. You don't have like your spirit guides, your highest self, God, your intuition. It's that inner voice guiding you. And you have to practice understanding where it's guiding you. You have to practice the difference between your mind and your inner voice and spirit, right? Or God. And yeah, you think you're prepared for it until it happens. And so this past year, I was put on my ass. I remember for a while, I was, having a little bit of crash outs from like October till like February, honestly. And I was like, spirit guides, why the fuck are you guys not talking to me? Like, it's because they're not holding my hand anymore, right? It's like they took off the training wheels of the bike, you know? Yes, they're there. It's like that parent watching you. They're still gonna watch you and they're still gonna guide you. Maybe their hand is on the bike slightly guiding you, but you're doing all the work. And that's what this rebirth is. They said you know what you're doing, you practiced, you saw who you are, you have the information. So now we're gonna let go of your hand. We're gonna be here to support you, but we're gonna let go of your hand. Oh, I just got a wave of like love right now. I'm gonna cry. We're gonna let go of your hand so you can do it on your own. And there's a few times where I didn't really understand that's what was happening because I come from that death, that high where signs were like this everywhere. They were everywhere right when I asked for them. Straightforward. Spirit guide, send me a 333 if this is this. 333 on the fucking car. Send me a 999 and 999 here, 999 there. Send me a blue butterfly. Send me a hummingbird. You know what I mean? Like it was constant. They were fucking there. They were there. However, you can't really lean on spirit too much because A, they're not supposed to make the decision for you. You have free will. And also your purpose here is to learn to trust yourself. And so when I got a taste of that heaven and when my soul cracked open, obviously I was more in touch with my intuition because I was kind of vibrating at a higher rate frequency, and that's why my videos were a lot more easier for me to flow because I was in touch with that shit. So that was another thing that was like frustrating, was the fact that my videos weren't flowing, my words weren't flowing. And I just want to remind you that there's beauty in the stillness. The stillness, it's very important. It's the rebirth. And I figured it out yesterday. I figured that honestly within the past 2 months, it has been coming clear to me what this is. And, I kind of knew that I was becoming something and, shedding the old me. Like, I know these things, but I never experienced it on this level, this deep of a fucking death and rebirth. This one was I don't even know how to explain it. It was so deep and it was more intense. So coming out of that high and going into the low, I knew spirit didn't leave me behind, but I think I was just put on my ass really, really, hard. And for a while there, I felt really, really lost. And, I know that there's beauty in feeling lost. Like, all these things. You guys hear me talk about them all the time. It's just when you're going through it, your emotions sometimes can, overtake everything. And in the beginning of this death and rebirth, I was struggling. Or the rebirth, I was struggling. In the beginning of a year ago, I was struggling. Now things are getting lighter because I'm realizing things more. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, it's really fucking beautiful how you don't have, like I said, a straightforward instructions on what to do, but you have this inner guidance that is guiding you. Like you're guiding yourself. It's the magic within you, that little subtle push, that is guiding you to do this, to do this. And because I knew how to, because I practiced honestly for years regulating my emotions, you guys know what I talk about, stuff like that. I knew how to handle this rebirth. But this rebirth is different because I'm more aware, and it was way fucking deeper because this rebirth is something that is sustainable for the rest of my life. The things that I went through in the past, the spiritual awakenings, were to grow, to build me up so I can go through phases, so I can be here now fulfilling what I feel like I need to do here on earth rather than just going through the lessons in order to create this, to be this here in this moment, if that makes sense. And so yeah, sorry, I totally lost track of my thought. I don't know if you guys know I have ADHD. I lost track of my thought, and um a fun fact, a lot of people who are actually in touch with their intuition and their psychic abilities are neurodivergent. So that's pretty fucking cool. That's a whole nother topic to talk about, but yeah. I don't know what the fuck I was talking about. But on a different topic, I suppose. I really forgot what I was talking about. Yeah, I'm here. We're just gonna flow with my words right now to see if I remember what the fuck I was saying. I'm here, and that death, the rebirth that, oh yeah, okay. So the deaths and the rebirths that I went through in the past, and I don't even think they were like huge. I think they were just phases because we go through deaths and rebirths our entire lives, and I don't think they were like anything crazy. So now, since this is sustainable, and I'm tapping into why I feel I came here on Earth for to help, myself in order to help people. This death and rebirth is like the initiation to, okay, you stepped into your soul. You stepped into your aligned path. You are now on the path of what you came here to do. And yeah, I think that's why this death and rebirth was really intense, like intense. And I know that I've had some in the past because I've had that high multiple times, highs and lows, and it was like subtle. It was really subtle. And this one was like fucking a year and a year long. The other ones are like a few months, a few months, a few months, a few months. And here, and even if it's a year or not, it's like little. It's not how it was like this. And so, like I say, for every high, there's a low. For every low, there's a high. And you're going up. You're evolving still. Don't base your growth on, you know, if you don't feel connected, because you're always connected, you're always aligned. But the rebirths, the hard part, the difficult part is when you do the most growth. You are embracing the sacred growth. You are embracing the current moment. We're not chasing the high. And I don't mean high in a sense like that's what it was. It was a high though, but I don't mean in a sense like we're chasing it, because we're not chasing it. We are not chasing it. That served its purpose for that time that you were in. You were supposed to touch heaven. You were supposed to be so in touch with yourself and Mother Earth and the trees and love and the people around you. You were supposed to be aware. That was supposed to happen. It was supposed to feel like literally a fucking taste of heaven. And that's in the past. Now, you've like, it feels like you're left behind, but it's not. And so you're not chasing that high. You are practicing everything you went through. You remember what you're capable of, because I know what that feels like, what I'm capable of. And now we are embodying it at a more grounded state. We are not chasing. We are not just living, I suppose. We are embodying it in every crevice, in every cell, in every piece of our existence. When we embody it, it is poured out through our energy. It is poured out through our soul. We embody it. We shine it. And you're doing it more grounded, and it's going to be 10 times more than what you've experienced at that on that death. Because this rebirth, it's like a butterfly, right? You're shedding the cocoon. You're shedding the fucking cocoon. And caterpillars and rebirth go through a phase in the middle where they're in the cocoon. They're a caterpillar, then they're in the middle for a little bit. They're in the cocoon, and then they're a butterfly. I'm in the fucking middle part, cracking open. I'm like, I think the cocoon is cracked more. It really is. But from last year to there, I was in the beginning. I was barely going into the fucking cocoon. May, June. I would say May, June of last year. Yeah. And the cocoon is, I can see the fucking light. It's cracked open now. And it's crazy because, you know, like I said, I didn't know that this was happening. And I didn't, like, I knew because I knew it, but I didn't know. When you're in a huge death or a rebirth, the hard part, is like everything you knew you kind of forget because the universe is giving you chances, or you're put in, it's not even the universe, it's you're put into situations because you're ready for the next chapter of your growth to apply everything. So sometimes it could be really intense and really heavy, and you just feel so disconnected, like you lose all of the things that you know. And I remember being so agitated because I was like, I know these things, but why am I reacting this way? Why, why am I sometimes thinking in a limiting belief more than I was before? Like, I know that I'm the creator of my reality. Why am I letting the physical get to me? Why am I doing these things? And I had to remind myself, Irene, hey, you're human, and that happens. You're not perfect. There's no such thing as not too spiritual. You're just fucking human. You're gonna have these things. You know that. You know that you have these phases in your life, right? So I had to remind myself more that that's what I was going through. And B, you know that this is where the most growth happens, is when it's hard. And I don't mean to be repeating myself. I'm sorry, but yeah, from a year ago to now, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And it's beautiful because the more you practice, the more you integrate, the more you practice all the things that you've learned, you practice all the awareness that you've encountered, you practice the love that you've explored, and you're practicing and you're practicing and you keep practicing, you keep applying it, and slowly you start to embody that. And I don't want you to feel tricked, right? And I think that's the thing about myself, is I felt tricked, I guess, in a sense, because it was easy to embody that when I was in the death, when I was cracked open, when I was touching heaven. It was easy. Like, yes, things were here that were like challenging me, but it was easy. I was like, oh, I did my inner child healing, I did this. And so since it felt hard again, I was like, damn, like, what the fuck? I thought I knew what I was doing. I thought I knew everything. Not even everything, but I thought I knew how to handle my emotions. And so I'm somebody who's really, really hard on myself, and the fact that I wasn't handling it during the high that I was in as good as that, I was really getting on myself for a while. And I want to share that with you guys because we're human and we go through things. And even me, you see me online talking about this, I go through stuff. I don't have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. We don't. The most spiritual people, like, there's no such thing. Spiritual isn't something that you need to achieve. You don't need to achieve it. You don't need to arrive there. It is just you in your existence, in your entirety, in the present moment, in all seasons and all phases of you. There is no rules. It is silly of us to have standards for somebody who is spiritual. If the spiritual journey is a healing journey, sometimes you feel good, sometimes you feel don't, sometimes you don't. And we should honor those who are being vulnerable enough on this, who show up as healers, or in this spiritual world, who are showing their vulnerability, who are showing who they are, who are showing their mental health, who are showing everything about themselves. Because the strongest healers, the strongest people who are going to be empathetic towards you, are the ones who are able to be empathetic towards themselves, are the ones who are able to be aware of themselves, are the ones who are able to be aware and hold a big enough container for their emotions and their mental health. They're honest and they're raw and they're open. And so, yeah, I just want to say that we're not doing false positivity. And they always say that you don't really know the reason why you're going through what you're going through until you come out of it. And you're always growing. We are never fully done. We're never fully experienced, this journey. We're always growing. And you don't even know how much more growth you have until you go through another death and rebirth, and you're like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, there's more of you. And you feel yourself expanding, and you feel your mind expanding. I love you guys so much. Thank you for listening to my video. This one, I'm very happy. This is like the first video I felt very flowy that I made in a long time, and I love you guys so much. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe. Give this a thumbs up if you want, and you're more than welcome to be a part of my family. I love you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.